Hi everybody. Okay, this is our final video for this short 3-week mini session. So thank you so much for joining us during this learning process. Those of you who submitted an interpretation of this video, thank you for tackling that challenge. Boy, is she difficult. I know that she is a challenge, so kudos to you guys for even attempting it. It's very important that when you tackle a challenge like her, and although she is fast, and I will totally concur, she's fast. She's not I have interpreted for people who sign just as quickly. So it's important that in your practice of exposing yourself to a number of different signing styles, that you expose yourself to someone like her. The good thing is that this is Melissa. She's the president of NAD, and if you go to the NAD Vlogs YouTube channel, there is no shortage of videos of her signing. So if you did struggle with her, you can get tons more practice working with her. Now, how do you cope through fast material? What most people did was rambled through, lost their breath trying to speak as quickly as she signs, and that is unhelpful, unsuccessful. That's not the way to do it. What really needs to happen is you have to give yourself the lag time to see what's being said. You want to make sure that you don't start talking until you understand what she's saying. So in other words, you shouldn't start a sentence that you don't know the ending to. Okay, you've got to know what she's saying before you start talking. And then as soon as you know what she's saying, you want to compose a concise interpretation of that message. Concise. You want get rid of all the unnecessary words and all the unnecessary fluff in your message, and just say what she's saying as concisely as possible. If you remember, if you take from one thing from this video, take this. This is the most important point I'm going to make today. Remember that missing the points of the message, or glossing through what she's saying, just saying the signs as they come, does not result in a clear overall message. It does not capture the overall message. So if you are struggling through and you are talking really quickly and missing her main points, or not really getting to her main points, you're just kind of saying signs all the way through, that does not capture the overall message. And we do that because of this intense fear that we're going to miss something. But that fear that we're going to miss something results in an overall interpretation that is subpar. It doesn't quite hack it. It doesn't quite get there. If instead you weren't so afraid of omitting a few minor supporting details, and I'm not saying we should omit things willy-nilly, but if you're struggling, we have to do something to keep our heads above water, right? So if you omit a few minor supporting details, but you are able to capture her main points, hit those points home, and get her overall message, that is a better solution. Saying the whole video in a wordy way without making complete sentences, that leaves the listener kind of questioning the whole overall message. You don't want to do that, because then ultimately we aren't getting the entire point. Having a few omissions is a much smaller error. One example of not hitting the nail on the head as far as her point is when she talks about employment. She's talking about what she's saying is, right now, deaf employment is low. There are many people in the deaf community who are not working, who are unemployed. And so we need to keep that conversation going through social media, via contacting our government representatives. We need to keep this going so we can try to combat this issue, okay? That's ultimately the essence of what you want to say in that section. Saying something like, there's a small deaf workforce out there, And so we should talk on social media and senators, and that's not quite hitting the nail on the head. It's sort of understanding what's being said, but not saying it in as emphatic way as she's trying to say it. So that's what I mean by we start drowning in the signs, and we don't ultimately make a clear message, or we don't hit the same points on the head as she is. Okay, so if you found this challenging, maybe use the next couple of weeks as you are maybe gearing up to Christmas, and use her videos as a source of material to practice so that you can work on those coping skills. Concise, concise, concise. Concise, concise, concise. Okay? What I mean by concise is when you see her second sentence here where she says, up until now, many, many, many weeks, deaf community have been talking about deaf employment is not any good. All right? So what we might be compelled to say as an effort to try to keep every sign in there is something like, up until now, for many weeks, deaf community has been talking about how deaf employment isn't any good. All right? And so there's a lot of words in there, when really all she's saying is there's been a lot of talk right now about the poor state of deaf employment. And I'm sure some of you could even figure out a more concise way to say that sentence. So you really want to, when you understand what she's saying, do yourself a favor and figure out a way to say that same idea in a concise manner instead of sounding frenetic and flustered in your interpretation. Okay, let's go ahead and discuss this one. I'm going to be glossing this, letting you know the signs that she's signing, and any other notes I can present to you to help you learn something from this piece. Here we go. Hi, I am MD. I was asked today if you weren't sure what her actual name was, or if you missed what her sign name was, or even if she fingerspelled her name and you missed it, what should you do there? If I were testing and that happened, I would probably just say hello and leave it at that. Okay, it's what she's saying is introducing herself, obviously, but it's basically just a simple greeting. And her name is a supporting detail. She's not talking about this to introduce herself. In other words, the point of this video isn't to say, hi, I'm Melissa and I'm the new president of NAD. You know, I'm this person and I do this. And the point of this is to talk about employment, VRI, and voting. So you're only missing a supporting detail by omitting her name. And so that would be what I would suggest to do if this were a testing situation. If this were a live situation, hopefully you would know her name even before you started voicing it. So you shouldn't have that problem in a live situation. All right, here we go. Hi, I'm Melissa, and of course that's her sign name, but her actual name is her name in English is Melissa. Now I'm going to talk about three things: employment, VRI, and voting. Oh, another quick note, this video is captioned, but like many other captioned videos, it's not an exact match to the video. In other words, there are things that are in the captions that are not even said at all in the video. So you can't rely 100% on the captions because it is different, but it is a great guideline. So after you're done working on this video, it's a good idea to take a quick look at the captions just to give yourself some other ideas of word choice, and it might even help you catch some things that you missed. Okay, so up until now, many, many weeks. So it's not just a few weeks. She's saying for a while now, there's been a lot of discussion about this. People, deaf community, discuss deaf employment, and then she signs this sign. This is a more regional sign, and it actually has quite a few meanings, but in this case, she's meaning it to mean it's not very good. She's not signing dwindling, though. She's not saying that it's getting smaller. It looks like the sign's smaller, but it's not the same production. It's actually going back and forth, not coming in to make it smaller, and it's a sign that means no good, not very good. It's not the same as no good NGs, though. It's just she's saying it's not doing good. Deaf employment is lagging. She's saying here, small work, but everybody else out there, none. So what she's saying is that some people are working, but the masses are not. Okay, or the majority of the deaf community, many people in the deaf community are not working, although a few are employed. It's important to continue this discussion. Same time, I've noticed out there, non-profit, she fingerspells non-profit organizations, they're working, giving different trainings, they're teaching and reteaching. So she's saying we need to continue this discussion. I have noticed that non-profit organizations are offering trainings and different educational opportunities, etc. There's a variety out there. Continue. Not only that, also through chat, through discussion on Facebook, senators. So she's saying these are also ways we should be continuing this discussion, trying to combat this issue of deaf employment. Contacting our senators, contacting our representatives in the government, people in town, companies. So continue this conversation with all of these different entities. Why? Really out there hearing people clueless about deaf. They can look at us and see we're really serious. So she's saying the reason being is that hearing people don't understand that deaf people are serious about getting a job. They really want this. One we can look at, so there's one model to note, the Signing Starbucks that just opened, recently set up, Signing Starbucks. Hopefully you've all heard about the Signing Starbucks. If you haven't, you should keep your eyes on the deaf, the things that are going on in the deaf community, because this is a big one. All deaf employees, all deaf workers, manager, cashier, coffee maker. So she's saying there's a model that when I say model, I mean like the model situation. There's or you could even just say we know about the Signing Starbucks that just opened up, with all deaf employees. The manager's deaf. They have deaf baristas and cashiers. And look at her use of space here. So she's looking down on this Signing Starbucks as if she's a big company observing how this Signing Starbucks is working out, okay? And then she goes back to that to say other companies look, they can do that, so that could be applied to other companies as well, right? So other companies could follow suit in hiring deaf employees. So related to that, Starbucks, they donated $50,000 to NAD. She does not sign dollars, in case you're wondering. She does not sign it. So it's an assumption based on the sign donate. Donate $50,000 to NAD. Want to explain what to do with this program. So Starbucks is donating $50,000 to NAD, and this grant is for these projects. A group is going to be videoing different deaf employees, and then she signs major what, meaning different careers. And actually it's not employees, it's workers. So they're going to be videoing or filming different deaf professionals. That's a better way to put that. Like engineers, owners, teachers, scientists, all sorts of different professions. That short video we will be distributing to young children who have not yet had an opportunity to meet a deaf person. Now she's role shifting. Oh, that job, we're planting the fingerspelled seed in their mind. We're putting the fingerspelled seed in their mind so that in the future they can visualize to help them envision a better future for themselves. They can visualize the future for themselves. Not only that, she says only that. No. So not only that, we're going to be setting up, so that's face-to-face video. So they'll be able to video chat live, ask questions, chat with them. How? So just to kind of recap here, they're doing this video that they're going to be filming different deaf folks in different professions. And then she says not only that, but they're going to be able to chat live with these deaf professionals. And they'll be doing that at Schools for the Deaf. Be careful about saying a residential or deaf institute. It's a term that, although that's what they're literally signing, it's a term that comes off very negatively to the hearing ear. So when we're voicing that, it's best to say something like School for the Deaf or Deaf School. Okay, so ask questions and chat with these professionals at Schools for the Deaf, deaf programs. When she says deaf programs, she means like DHH programs in mainstream schools. Junior NAD chapter. That's a tough thing to catch. Once again, man, it really helps to have background information. I've been practicing voicing using NAD videos in my mentorships and even in my own practice. I practice voicing as well on a regular basis to always be improving my voice interpreting skills. And so because I'm so familiar with NAD's videos, I've voiced about junior NAD many times. And because of that background knowledge, I was able to very easily catch the junior NAD there. So that background knowledge really, really, really helps. Exposure. So she says junior NAD chapter, different ways. Very excited for this program or this project. And once again, these are all the places that they're going to be setting up these chats to be able for these deaf kids to talk to deaf professionals. Second, VRI. Want to thank you people who up until now complain, concern. Let us know. NAD really work hard over about 6 years, not 60 years, but 6 years, taking a look at the system, taking a look at the issue, and worked it all out, finish. Okay, so she's saying, thanks to those of you who have really let us know your concerns. We've been working on this for the past 6 years, and now this is what we've come up with. A position statement. Right now, we've posted it on our website. All the information is there. Also includes videos in ASL and text. There's also cards for people who want to take advantage of them and print them out from the website to show the hospital, hey, now she's role shifting. She's becoming a deaf person in the hospital with a card in their hand saying, hey, look at this card. Here's more information. An example of what it says. Hey, VRI video frozen, not accept. So she's saying, so some examples are that it is not acceptable to have subpar technology or inefficient video or something like that. People who work set up awkward, things like that. Okay, people who if those that are setting up the equipment don't know how to do that, that's also not acceptable. Things like that. So it's important to let them know. So look at the NAD website. Lastly, voting. Up until now, many days, vote. An example, just so you know, of a place where The captioning is different. Is in the captions, it specifically says midterm elections, but she doesn't say anything about midterm elections in her video. It might be that if you were voicing this live and you knew that midterm elections were coming up, then you may still, knowing that she's referring to midterm elections, you may voice it that way. But out of context, out of the time frame, there's no way that you know that she's talking about midterm elections. Okay, so you have been talking about midterm elections. I encourage people to vote. Some of you already know, vote, finish, yep, got it, like know how to do it, know the process. But who not yet, I don't know what to do, contact ASL Vote Hotline. Okay, she's saying, but those of you who don't know what to do, contact the ASL Vote Hotline. Their ready contact video sign. So they are sitting there ready to answer your questions in ASL. Ask how vote, what does registration look like? They will explain, it will guide you. How nice. Take advantage of it. Okay, so they can tell you the ins and outs of the process, no problem. Grab that opportunity. Please vote. Thank you. And that's it. All right, that's it for me. Everybody, if you celebrate Christmas, please have a fantastic Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday with your friends and family. Rest up, but don't rest that much because there are plenty of videos to be continuing to practice during the holidays. So please get in a few hours of practice now, between now and 2019. And I hope to see you guys next year. Take care.